just want to thank you, ladies, the Curl Queens, for rebooting the Curl Queens and getting us started with our conversations on various topics that we talked about in the past. And tonight we won't disappoint. And because it is Mental Health Awareness Month in May, we're talking about women's mental health. But it's just something that's a buzzword. Like mental health is just a buzzword. Like everyone's talking about, oh, your mental health, you got to be aware of your mental health. But tonight I want to give a little bit of a different spin on it as we as women um, try and cover up our mental health, right? Try to cover it up when we're not good, when we want people to think that we're okay and we're really not. But before we dive into the conversation, one, I wanted to just remind everyone of who we are. And I'm Audrey Dendy Hightower, self-care strategist. Self-care is what I do. It's my jam. I love it. Working with clients to come along and partner with them to co what's the word I'm looking for? Work with my clients to come up with guilt-free ways to make it about yourself. Right. And so my clients are usually those women or men who just forgot to put themselves on their own agenda. Right. And because life is life is as the young folks say, right? But I also have Karen Sims here, who is, everything extraordinaire. And so, Karen, when you introduce yourself, there's one
Yes.
question I want you to answer is why are your threads twisted?
I'm glad you asked that. So I'm Karen Sims of Twisted Threads, and my threads are twisted because when we come together, we create a beautiful tapestry together. So a lot of times we do a lot of work. My work in the coaching arena is focused on goal success. So literally, by any means necessary, we win, and focus on that, and making sure folks know that they don't have to do it alone. It's always good to have somebody to come alongside you and kind of help you map out from here to there. Why? So we can eat the cake. I'm here for the cake.
All right, all right. And we also have Nikita, who Nikita is just like she's like your best friend, right? Like everyone needs a Nikita in their life. And so Nikita, when you introduce yourself, why is your halo tilted?
I knew it was coming. I am Nikita Hansford. Radio moniker is Tilted Halo. And you asked the question why my halo is tilted. I often tell people, and for many people that know me, you know that I believe in angels. They surround us all the time. And my faith is always my guiding force behind everything I do. My halo is tilted because I have entirely too much swag for it to be on straight. That's basically it. And my swag is born of life experience. That as I've reached the age of queen, so to speak, that swag is turning into a whole bunch of wisdom that I've been graced to be able to share with so many people. So holla at me.
I love it. I love it. So let's just dig in, right? Let's just talk about tonight's subject about women's mental health. And one of the things I wanted to talk about is, as we look at ourselves today, as being grandparents. I know we don't look like it, but we are. As being grandparents and, live through some stuff and have some experiences and have some wisdom and kind of look like we got it all together right now. But there was a time when we didn't. And there was a time when, when mental health wasn't such a buzzword like it is now, that we all suffered from that, right? And I know me, I'm just going to start, and I want you ladies to feel free also to share a story or an experience or whatever you want to share about how, when your mental health was not 100%, when you were not operating at 100%, and when you were not okay, what did that look like? Like, how did that show up in your life? For me, I have the nervous laughter, right? So it's like, what, are you okay? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Just smile my way through it, and then justify it afterwards, right? So I'm going through something. Don't let anyone know what's really going on, and then later on have a nice little pity party. Why me? um why am I like this? And then justify, oh, I'm like this because I don't know, because I'm dark skinned, this is why this is happening to me, or because I got skinny legs, or because, you know, I grew up in a single parent household, I didn't have enough money, or I grew up in public housing, like whatever it is, right? I secretly justified the why me, and that kind of made me feel better, right? It kind of like explained why things were happening to me. And truth be told, that kind of kept me in that cycle as now I talk about it, right? Because you kind of medicate yourself, right? So yeah, so Karen, how did it show up for you when you were not okay?
You know, it's funny because I sat here and thought about that question, and after I said, whoa, there were so many versions of it throughout the decades. So it didn't show up in the same way all the time. You know, many of us, because we're fabulous now, this must mean we were young mothers as well. But I was young. And a lot of it would be my silence. So I know a lot of times people would be like, oh my goodness, we knew you was coming before you got here. Yes, because there was a time where my justification was I needed to be invisible when I wasn't okay. When I did not know that I had a voice, much less knew how to use it. And I was okay with being invisible until the time came that it was like, literally, I remember having a conversation with somebody and they were like, you can be whoever you want to be. And it was like, I didn't really need the permission, but I needed the permission to go ahead and, you know, in the words of my sister Tilted, just to be, you know, and be okay with some people gonna like it, some people not, but I have to be okay at the end of it. And I think, you know, one of the things that you said about that self-care strategy, I had to learn that. I don't think, I mean, I'm mastering it now. I don't even think it was a thing for me until my children were grown. And, you know, yeah. So we're about 10 years into putting me first. Okay, is it 10? It's probably only 5. I'm not telling the truth. It's about 5 years. And truth be told, you know, if I'm not okay now, y'all better be thankful for prayer, because me not being okay now means the whole left section gonna get knocked out. Okay, that's what it means now. So I try to take the lessons that I've learned over the decades so that when I'm not okay, I'm able to connect and sort of do those self-care things to make sure, keeping the body count low. That's what we try.
Yeah. So when you weren't okay, right? And someone would ask you, like, you know, you're not okay. And then, you know, you have that someone, Karen, how you doing? And you know you're not okay.
Straight
like,
lies. Straight lies. I am fine. I'm blessed and highly favored.
Yes.
Honey, I went all the way in. Okay. They know these masks we wearing outside, off again, on again. I wore a mask for probably 30 years. So I get it. Like, there wasn't I'm going to let anybody in. I didn't even have, outside of my sister and a cousin, and my children will say, mommy only had one friend because I had one girlfriend. Why? Because I didn't let people in my circle. I didn't let folks know what was going on in my world. So when I said I'm blessed and highly favored, they believe my acting skills and didn't bother me. Okay, honey, I've been acting so long, this thing real now. So that was the thing. I didn't let anybody in. I didn't speak the truth, and I didn't have sister friends. Like, I promise, I was probably, if not 40, close to 40, before I had a real friend. Okay, before I had more than one real friend. I had one, and that was it. And I didn't care to have any more. That's a whole nother probably episode of Qurled
Yeah.
Queens. But so we'll leave it right there.
Yeah.
And then God knew what I was in need of, and definitely sent the right people that as I side-eyed them, they side-eyed me and still came on. They like, you a porcupine, but we gonna sit here and prick each other until
Yeah.
we get to the best part. So yeah.
Wow. Nikita,
Yes, ma'am.
how did it show up for you when you were not okay?
It showed up for me when I wasn't okay, when I found myself trying to fit inside of a box somebody else told me I was supposed to be in.
Ooh, I love that.
Real talk. That's the way it showed up for me. Um, the two of you are familiar with my upbringing. Y'all done read the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And because there are pieces of me, I did not really begin to the journey to discovering who I was until I was 30 years old. So when I began to turn the flashlight on myself at that point in time, I began to see and question, who am I? Because as Karen stated, we have the shared experience of being mothers young. So at 17, here I was, a young single mother. So I took on a responsibility as opposed to piece of owning pieces of myself. At that particular juncture in life, I became mom, and then after so long, I became wife. Then I
Mm-hmm.
became mom again, and I promise you, for about 39 years, no one really called me by my first name. I was always referred to as Linnea's mom, Kim's mom, or Perry's wife. But nobody ever really acknowledged me and what it was I was bringing to my family. And I got comfortable in that.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a good girlfriend of mine, shout out to my good girlfriend Tracy Adedeji, who looked at me when I was 30 years old and said, "You are absolutely beautiful. Have you
Ah,
considered modeling?" I was like, "What, you crazy? I'm fat." But little did I know she was speaking life.
yeah.
And that's when I began the journey into plus modeling and began to really discover, through my different interactions with the women in those circles, exactly who I was. And I began to learn from those outside sources that it was okay to own my power, to own my
Mm.
boldness. And in my journey of self discovery, it's kind of whack that it had to happen, or that process had to begin at 30. But at the end of the day, I came into that journey of self discovery with a whole lot of wisdom anyway. So it kind of peppered my steps. It gave me some seasoning, or that swag I talked about at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I did when I wasn't okay. And y'all already know, at this point in life, y'all know Keita ain't doing nothing she don't want to do.
I know that's right. I mean,
Not one
I
thing.
love it. It's were you gonna say something, Karen?
No, I was just gonna say not one thing.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
now.
And now I think the beauty in our journey is how it's serving us today, right? Like all the things that we've gone through, not being okay, lying, crying, covering it up, whatever we were doing, right? Whatever outer exterior mask shell we put on so that we can make people think that we're okay. The great thing about that, I think part of our power is that we recognize that in other people. So now we're able to support other women because we recognize it, right? Like I'm so Nikita, I'm gonna go back to you for a minute. So, what are one of the things that you resonate when you see another woman who's not okay? What's one of the things that you pick up on that she's not talking about?
Woo! That she's actually carrying a weight and is
Mm,
waiting for someone to say something encouraging to her in the moment.
mm-hmm,
You know, I'm big on complimenting other women.
So
because I've learned from my own personal experience what a compliment can do to change your whole day. So I'm that chick in the grocery store. Hey, girl, your dress is the bomb. Or
yeah.
your hair is doing it, sis. You better work. You know, and you know, not for nothing. They already know I'm sprinkling this glitter even in the workplace. You know, some may frown upon it, but I'm discovering that even amongst my circle of coworkers, they look to me for that encouragement,
Hmm.
and that's good, because what happens is when I give it to them, they give it to me. So it's an ongoing wash of positivity. We as women go through so much. And, you know, I'm grateful that the three of us even are a part of changing that narrative, especially in this particular day in time.
Yeah, I think it's so important because a lot of women are suffering in silence, and the odd thing is they don't even know, right? Because they're on autopilot. It becomes their new normal, and they don't even have a clue until something happens. Either they have a nervous breakdown, or maybe like you, Nikita, or like you, Karen, someone sees them for the first time. And for me, I was the working when my son was younger, the working mom. I didn't have a 9 to 5 job. I was working weekends. I was traveling all over the place. I had a husband. You're cooking. Like you're doing all these things. So that's one of the things that I recognize in other women. So when I see a woman trying to do everything, you can't be. You just can't be, right? You can't be holding up all those, but you can't. You're trying, but you just really can't. So whenever I'm speaking to a woman and she said, "Oh, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm working," and you got a child on your hip and you got you over here, I'm like, well, what are you doing for yourself?
Mhm.
That's always my question. Like, how are you taking care of you? You taking care of everybody else? How are you taking care of you? And I always get the deer in the headlight kind of look because they really haven't thought about it. How are they taking care of themselves? So Karen, what is for you? What is the one thing that you're picking up? It's like you have this spidey sense, and you're picking up on another woman that they're not okay.
You know, it shows up in so many ways because experience, who is that? Mickey Howard. I was listening to experience is a good teacher. It takes someone like me to know each of us and our life experiences have been in a place that we will always be able to identify that. Like no
Yes.
words, no situations. It's how we can literally feel danger in our bones. And so when I walk up, of course, I'm trying to come in with some happiness and some joy. Hey, y'all. Hey, why? Because life is too short. We only got one to live. So, if you didn't remember anything else, you remember that I showed some compassion and love. I think one of the challenges for me is we a lot of time have been taught, and I don't know how much, so I think still in this generation, a lot of us have been taught to keep our feelings in. Don't let everybody know what's going on.
Yep.
And then we battled depression. And, a lot of the weight issues we've had have been connected to our mental health being at a whack, and us not having an outlet. And so I love the opportunity to be transparent with folks, because I think that that's very important to our mental health. You may not like what I'm doing, but listen, I ain't got time to be floating around trying to figure out if you're going to like what I'm about to say. I'm going to say it in love, but we're going to keep this 100% real, not mean, but a real
Right.
transparency, so that if I'm not okay today, and so I'm gonna call out the church folks today. I don't know if you was ready for this, Audrey, but
No, you
I'm
bring
gonna
it.
call
Bring it.
out the church folks, because I think sometimes we do our sisters and brothers a disservice by making it seem like there is something wrong with you if you're not always in that I'm blessed and highly favored mode. Guess
Right.
what? Even Jesus took a moment away to gather himself together
Mm-hmm.
when
Mm-hmm.
things was getting heavy. That means that if we say, "Oh, what would Jesus do?" Y'all better back up off me. If you
Yes.
hope for some tears, you better
That is
give me
so
a purple cloth and some tissue, and you can say a prayer, but don't make me feel bad because I'm feeling these feelings that God gave to me.
Yes.
He gave these feelings to me. So us kind of walking around being like, oh, well, you just need to pray about it. You do need to pray about it. Trust me. My sisters know I will pray, honey.
In a
I
minute.
will pray at the
That's how we do.
We in the middle of ain't he fine? And I promise you,
in Jesus' name, yes.
Listen, if you ain't experienced it, be around me for 5 minutes and we're gonna pray some things through. But what happens in prayer is transparency. It's usually what is changing and connecting us to God's heart. I ain't come on here to preach, but y'all church folk who telling people, you know, oh, you shouldn't be showing your emotions or you shouldn't be doing it this way. We each have a different earthly experience. And so we all have to recognize that even when we see it and the pain is there, we want to love on people because that's what we're supposed to do. But we also want to let people know that we can be a safe place. Maybe they don't have anywhere else to be like, these kids getting on my nerves. I don't know if they're gonna make it through the night because I love little Johnny. Johnny done stole my purse and
spent the rent money on candy and chips. Oh,
my
I'm
lipstick,
sorry.
my $30 lipstick is now crayons. Like, come on, let's keep it real. Listen, Qurled Queens, we here for it for real. To say how we truly feel in those moments that maybe our kids didn't select the thing that we wanted them to, and we really want to yank them up. And you know, we can't say more because this is all public and everything. So we be upset. We be upset by some of the choices, and especially, you know, I'm a call out because I used to say nobody would test my gangster like my daughter until I became a mother-in-law, and nobody don't test my gangster more than my daughter-in-laws. I promise. I promise. That's the entire thing. And I love them both, the two of them I have so far. And I suppose if I keep doing right, the Lord will add more or whatever. But it'd be like, wait, this ain't my child. Like literally, but then I said, no, you adopted into the family. So now I got to figure out how to love you, how to communicate with you the same way that I did with all of the other chicks. Don't nobody touch your gangster like the daughter-in-laws. I say what I said. Spread the word.
I love it. Nikita, you had something you want to jump in there and say.
Yeah, because you mentioned Jesus, even he took a moment and allowed himself to feel. And when you shared that nugget, immediately I had the thought: would you imagine that Jesus was actually depressed in that moment? Yeah, when he took the time to steal away before he took the cup, he was sent to drink. Imagine what's missing from what's written in between the lines. He had the weight of the world, the weight of sin on his shoulders. He who knew no sin dwelled among us. Don't you think he might have been a little bit of depressed, feeling every human emotion in that moment?
Fear, or had to be?
All kind of things. So, you know, y'all see it on my page. That scripture hasn't changed because it's real for me. Be still and know that I am God. You have to be still. That's one of my favorite things to do. Y'all already know, more often than not, when y'all ask me how I'm doing, I'm telling you, I'm just chilling. That's real for me. I'm sitting in my yard when it's warm outside and I'm watching the birds fly, I'm watching the dog run in the yard. I'm listening to the sounds of the neighborhood. I'm taking in the aroma of the barbecue grill floating over the fence from my neighbor's yard. I'm getting in touch with my senses and allowing them to level out, because this world can be chaotic, and if we don't take the time to still ourselves in such a way, we gonna get caught up in displaying, acting out behaviors. And not for nothing, you know, I wanted to do this at the top of the show because I was sitting in there and watching the events of today. I'm praying for the mothers. I'm praying for the family members. My heart is hurting. So if I would ask if the three of us could take a moment in the middle of this broadcast and just have a moment of silence for the mothers who are crying right now.
I can't
because
imagine.
of yet another senseless act.
Yep.
Now, these are the things that impact all of our mental health, men and women alike, all across the globe. And it's not easy to rise above that particular fray because we as humans often entertain it could have been me.
Yep.
It could have been mine.
Yep.
And only thing I will say is this, as opposed to taking that in and making it, press you down, turn that into a spirit of rejoicing. Thank you, God, for your grace. Thank you, God, for your covering. Thank you, God, for allowing me and mine to make it home safely.
Mm-hmm.
Because these moments that we're living in this life are not promised. And one of my favorite things to do is to intentionally guard my perspective. No matter what the situation looks like, no matter how crazy it may seem, I have to be careful what I'm speaking out of my mouth because it comes to life. So, as opposed to saying I'm broke, I'm going to tell you I'm temporarily without funds.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't never broke.
Listen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just temporary because it's going to change.
Yes.
Money is going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we're talking about finding ourselves, or at least I shared a lot about finding myself.
Mm-hmm.
I showed up even after being
That's the
inside of that
biggest
box.
thing. That is the biggest thing, showing up, right? Because so many of us don't, and they just give up,
Yeah.
right? And don't even really think about
Yeah.
when they show up, what are they, what do other people see,
Yes.
right? When you show up, what do other people see? I think in this time right now, with the climate of gun violence in the United States, we still have COVID. Family members are grieving that they've lost family members from COVID. And then you have other family members that are still becoming sick. We're in a recession. Gas prices are high. There's a housing shortage. There's a shortage of food, car prices. Like everything is going on. So much is going on. So it really takes a lot nowadays to wake up in your sound mind.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. I think the best thing that we could do for our other women is be there for them. Back to what Karen was saying, right? Don't guilt-free, safe, non-judgment zone, right?
Yeah.
For strange women, women who I don't know, women come to me and talk, I don't even know them. But it's
That's
like,
because you a whole angel, girl.
what? This one
Mm-hmm.
woman, I was in Brooklyn many years ago. I don't know. I'm walking. This woman stopped me and on a corner in the street in Brooklyn and dumped on me for like a half an hour
Wow.
about her family life, her husband, her everything. And I just sat and I just listened. I didn't say a word, just listened to her because that's what she needed. And I think that's what we all need. We need to be heard,
That's true.
right?
Absolutely.
That's true. And
And a
so
lot
many
of us don't
people
have that.
don't know how. Like they don't know how to show up as themselves, and a lot of times I'm sure I'm in good company with both of you where people will say, how do you do what you do? And oh my goodness, you got so much going on. And it's an inspiration. And literally it this is not a choice, this is a charge.
I love
Because
it.
when you recognize that somebody recognized you, somebody said hello beautiful, whether it was one of the mothers from the church or somebody's auntie who said, no, you don't look like you okay, I'm fine, Miss so and so, you not okay, come over here, let me feed you something, let me put $3 in your hand, whatever, let me do something to lift you up and let you know that you are seen, by somebody else in the universe. And a lot of times we think that it takes a big thing to save a life. It really doesn't take much, because most people just want to be noticed. They want to know, that their existence in the world matters. And that's every person, whether they know all about your story, or like you said, Audrey, they want to tell you all it is. This charge is what keeps us going, whether it's $1 that comes, $1,000, or whatever the incremental increase that we see. We know it took a life to save ours. And so that dedication comes from that passion to know, because we felt it. Like, once you personally know a thing, you usually, I ain't gonna say that's for everybody, but a lot of us will want to duplicate that for every other person that we come in contact with.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have that growing up, right? I didn't have that safe place growing up. I didn't have anyone, talking to me and saying, I'm just here for you. Or I'm like actually saying those words. I just want to be here for you. This is a safe place. And sometimes we think we may not have to say those words, but I think sometimes you do, right? To communicate it and let our fellow women know that it really is safe. I really am here for you. And I'm not here to gossip about you as soon as we finish our conversation. I'm not here to go tell it to the next. That's not what I'm here for. Right? I'm truly here just to support you, like women supporting women. There's so much magic in that. But we've been hurt. And so we bring all that. We bring our baggage. We bring our hurt. We bring what our mom told us that we can't do. We bring what our dads told us that we can't, our friends, jealous, competition, being abused. We bring all that with us. So sometimes it's hard. Wow. Get Nikita.
No, this is really really good stuff. And as I was listening to the two of you, I was sitting here and I was just thinking about what my Facebook timeline looks like right now. And there's so much celebration going on. And me personally, I look at social media as a gift and a curse.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I'm appreciating the gift that it is that we are able to stay connected in this way and be able to celebrate one another. Some experts might say that, people develop a particular type of social media anxiety because they depend on the likes,
Yeah.
because they depend on the follows, because they depend on the shares. But can we entertain the thought for one moment that those thoughts and those shares and those likes could actually save someone's life? To let them know that they're being seen, even though they may actually be in some form of isolation, whether it be they're on quarantine because they have COVID or some other illness
Yep.
that's running rampant, or they just live far, far away from their dearest family and friends.
Yep.
I'm really appreciating the celebrating of one another that I see going on. And I can personally attest to, in my celebrating others in this season, I've been connected to some amazingly beautiful women who have shared their testimonies and their journeys unashamed as we build together.
Love it. I love it. I love it. Love it. As we end today's discussion on mental health, I just want to just give a little bit of space. Nikita and Karen, thank you for being here. Thank you for being open and transparent, sharing your thoughts. Is there anything that you want to share before we close out today's call? Like, how do you take care of your mental health, Karen?
I just, like you said earlier, I show up for myself. It is, and I'm gonna say one of the challenges that I have is I've been a mom, or I've been another name other than Karen. So Joshua, Danielle, all of they moms, and so Kim's sister, and Ulysses, Linda's daughter. Like, I've been everybody else. And so I know that this journey over the past 5 to 10 years has really been intentional, and not just me being intentional about myself, but allowing God to be intentional about me.
Mm-hmm.
To not say no, I'm okay when I'm not. So I say it. And then I take the time, I call it preventive maintenance. So whether it's a spa day, whether it's the
Yeah.
hair and the nails, and listen, we do it for our cars. We take it and get the oil change and all that other stuff. Why would we not do that for ourselves? And so these are things that I've been intentional about. If I need to take a day off, they just ain't gonna see me. If I need to not talk to folks, y'all just ain't gonna hear from me. And I've learned that no is a complete sentence, and I learned how to use that. I'm not giving you an excuse. You know, some people are like, well, why? No, I said no. No is the whole answer. And if you want the dissertation, that's gonna cost extra, because I'm gonna tell you this gonna be, this gonna be too taxing on my emotions, or you trying to take me through stuff. But I usually try to say no with a purpose in all the areas of my life. And I tell myself this is not a moment of vanity. I am worth it. I'm worth the time
Yes.
that I need to take. It may take me longer than somebody else, but oh well. It may, maybe I need more days, but literally we hear it often. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Well, honey, it's not that I need to take the crown off. Sometimes we just need to sit down with that crown versus
Oh, I
running around.
love it.
So I've learned how to do that for myself. And with this new man in my life, this is an interesting season, because now I gotta let somebody else do it too.
Yes.
That's a whole conversation right
Mhm.
there. But thankfully, I have good sisters who remind
I
me,
was going to say,
let
we're here
that
for
man be
you.
good to you. Let him do something. Be like, wait, nah, I'm gonna do this myself. So allowing myself to be pampered and then doing that for myself. Those are the two things that keep it. Because not only am I worth it, you are worth it. You are worth it. We worth it.
Yeah, I love it. Nikita.
Well, if y'all ain't figured it out now, I love me some Jesus and trap music. How about that? Hey, part of what I do as part of my self care regimen, I listen to a lot of different music. It just I don't know, it just waters my own spirit of creativity.
Yep.
And sometimes those artists I'm listening to are speaking words that I'm not allowed to, or actually that are not good for me to say as a woman with, who's fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God my Father. I ain't got no business spouting them ugly words. And sometimes these artists that I'm listening to are saying some of these things that I'm feeling. Shout out to Kendrick Lamar for that last project. Baby, it was fire. Anyway. Shout out to Kendrick Lamar. He told the entire testimony and the entire truth on that thing there.
Ciao.
But yeah, I enjoy that. And y'all already know, with Freedom Friday for me, I spend the time in the gymnasium working on my tempo physically. Because what I discovered is, what does they say, that something changes when I'm on that machine. My mind goes completely blank. I'm legitimately in the clear when I'm moving at 4.8 miles per hour. And then all of a sudden, the answers I've been seeking, things I've been trying to figure out in my life, all of a sudden it's like a little digital jigsaw puzzle that comes together. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, definitely.
And check it out. I got that particular black card membership at that particular gymnasium, and I make sure before I walk out of that joint, every time I go enjoy the little hydro massage bed, because I may not always have the extra money laying around to go and pay my favorite deep tissue massage fella. So I take advantage of making sure I get a massage. And the machine is wonderful. I can make it stop on particular points in my body where I know I'm carrying stress. So by the time I leave after a good workout, I'm basically skipping to my loo. And I'm in a better mind frame to face the world and everything else I need to take care of, because I'm intentional about paying attention to what's going on with me, showing up for me, mind, body, and spirit every single day.
I love it. Both of y'all took a little bit of what I was going to say, but it was, so one of the things that, a couple of things that I do for my mental well-being is just choosing me, right? unapologetically choosing myself in a again, a non-guilt kind of way. Actually utilizing my support system, right? Those who are here for me, who want to be here to support me, allowing them to do that, right? Reaching out to them and not always being okay, recognizing when I'm not okay, and allowing people to speak into my life and to tell me when I'm not, when I still think I am, right? Because there's still some pieces of that that still kind of show up every once in a while. I'll be like, I'm okay. You know, I trust it. I trust you, Nikita. You're gonna say, no, you're not. Right? Karen, I trust you guys are gonna be the same. You'll be asking me the right questions. Well, what would you do if? Right? Well, why? So we need that showing up for ourselves, having a support system, allowing your support system to support you. Let them do what they're there to do, right? Because you have these women, they want to be there for you, right? Let them be there for you. That's what they're there for. This has been great for those who have been able to hear us live, and for those who will be watching this on the replay. We hope that some of the things that we talked about and shared today, if anything resonates with you, then that's great and wonderful. That's what we did it for. If something doesn't, then that's okay too, right? If you find that maybe you do need some support, if you need someone to talk to, reach out to us, right? Like, we're here. That's what we're here to do, to support women. So with that, we will see you guys next time, when I don't know what we're going to be talking about, but just stay connected to us on our social media sites. You know where to reach us, and then you'll hear us again. So thank you so much. Bye for now.